Okay, if you can take the slides down now, please, Helen. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Three Nations Dementia Working Group webinar. My name is Chris Maddox, and I'm one of the members of the steering group on the Three Nations Dementia Working Group. I'm living with Lewy body dementia, and I'm chairing today's webinar. This morning's theme is positivity in dementia. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not feeling terribly positive, and I'll explain why. This was one of the topics chosen by our late chair, Nigel Uller. Nigel suddenly and sadly passed away on Saturday, the 15th of March. And this is the theme of this webinar as written by Nigel. The Positivity in Dementia webinar aims to challenge common misconceptions about dementia and highlight the importance of maintaining a positive outlook for both individuals living with dementia and their caregivers. By focusing on strengths-based approaches, the webinar will explore practical strategies for enhancing well-being, fostering engagement, and promoting quality of life, regardless of diagnosis. The session will also emphasize the power of community support, encouraging participants to share experiences and learn from one another. Ultimately, the goal is to inspire hope, reduce stigma, and empower individuals to lead fulfilling lives while navigating the challenges of dementia. I would like to remind you that these webinars are designed, produced, and presented by people living with dementia. I would encourage you to stay until the end of the webinar, when I will be reading some tributes to Nigel. And this will be followed by a slideshow and pictures of Nigel, accompanied by a Welsh hymn in memory of Nigel. As you can see, there's a few names and only 3 faces on the screen here. We've got 2 other people who are taking part as panel members, but they can't be here, so we have recordings of them. And I just want to say as well that focusing on positivity can significantly improve the lives of individuals with dementia and their caregivers. It involves recognizing and valuing the person's retained abilities, celebrating successes, and fostering positive relationships and social engagement. This approach can enhance mental well-being, reduce anxiety and agitation, and promote a sense of purpose and meaning. We've got a varied panel today, and the panelists are Rachel Thompson is joining us, and she's a consultant admiral nurse currently working with the Lewy Body Society. Pete Middleton, who is not here, but he's done a video for us to watch. Steve Kennedy, who is here. Keith Oliver, who's not here. We have a video to watch from Keith and myself. So apart from Rachel, the rest of us are all people living with dementia. We're not sure how much time we'll have for questions and answers because we really want to play this tribute at the end. And if we can't answer your questions, we will answer them by email following after this webinar. In 2016, I was diagnosed with early onset vascular dementia. In 2018, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And in 2021, diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. And as I said, I'm on the steering group of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group. We will be monitoring the chat box for any questions that you may have, and we're all here to make the webinar a success. These webinars rely on you. We need your comments, responses, and questions via the text boxes you will find at the bottom of your screen. Please use the text boxes to ask questions as well. If you raise your hand, we will not be able to see you. The text boxes will be monitored for questions, so we will be able to respond to some as we go along, or as I say, we will respond to you after the webinar. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our first speaker, who is Rachel Thompson. And she's a really good friend of mine, as well as being an admin nurse. And Rachel has helped me so much with my Lewy body dementia, given me a great understanding of it. And her and I have done a few talks. So Rachel, thank you for joining us, and it's over to you.
Absolute pleasure, Chris, and I'm delighted to join you all today. So Chris and the panel invited me to talk about positivity, and I was just reflecting on some of the challenges that, I know lots of people face, both people with the diagnosis and family carers. And in my work as an Admiral nurse, I listen and talk to people a lot about how to try and stay positive in the face of sometimes what feels like extreme adversity. I'm going to just share a couple of slides about the concept of hope, which strongly links to positivity, really. So I'm just going to share my slides. It always worked before. So perhaps the panel members can tell me if they can see that. Yeah, brilliant, lovely. Okay, so why is it important? Really just to start thinking about what do we mean by hope? Hope, positivity, very similar. It's the expectation that something good will happen, a belief that events will turn out for the best, to believe, desire or trust, to look forward to with desire and confidence, and to rely on. So I think sometimes when people are faced initially with a diagnosis or things are difficult, they often say, actually, I'm struggling to connect with that. The alternative, however, may be hopelessness. And this is the definition of hopelessness: is the feeling of state of or state of despair, a lack of hope. My slides are moving forward for some reason, but anyway, I'll just for a moment, I want to think about, because hopelessness can lead to very dark places and it disempowers people. So what does hope mean to you? It can mean different things to different people. And I think we're going to hear from the other panelists today about what's kept them hopeful. Now, I was going to share some slides, but I don't think I will, about some of the things that when I asked, we've got a lived experience advisory panel at Dementia UK. So it's people with dementia and family carers. And I asked for their comments about what kept them hopeful, what gave them some positivity, even when things felt very difficult. And the things that they came back with were things that I think we're going to hear about: being included, about positivity in engagement in activities, about going outside, about engaging in art, using music. Families equally had the same, family carers equally said the same things, but they often said about, also, I need to feel supported. I need to know where to go to. So I just thought I'd very briefly talk through a couple of models of hope, just to kind of illustrate why and how we can use this when you're facing dementia. So this is an American psychologist called Snyder, who developed a model around how to, he described hope as an action rather than just a feeling. And so this is important, that when we're thinking about trying to use hope, we need to be able to clearly visualize goals. Now, that might be important to think about, well, it has to be meaningful. They may need to be adapted, because sometimes in the context of dementia, things can be harder. And so adapting goals can be really a useful strategy. The pathways, he's been able to, this is the action part, the ability to generate pathways. Again, sometimes people may need support with accessing goals, family carers and people with a diagnosis. And then the agency thinking, a sense of determination. This is the bit that motivates. Now, I speak to a lot of people who experience apathy, anxiety, depression, and this is the part at which sometimes that determination may be challenged. So again, accessing help to find the ways to do the things that give you pleasure and help you stay positive is really important. This is the alternative. And of course, in a way, maybe sometimes we feel we're pushed into this, and this isn't what we want. It's negative views about self, negative views about the world, and negative views about the future. Now, what this psychologist said was, actually, he linked that he had a model of hope, a hopelessness scale. And when it's used with people, it's very closely linked to people feeling suicidal, or actually, suicidality, so ending their lives. And this is something that we don't want to engender, of course, because we want to move people from perhaps points at which they do feel hopeless. And I think we have to be realistic. Life throws lots of curveballs, doesn't it? But by getting people to move from hope from this sense of hopelessness to hope. And I think these words are quite important. Hope matters. Positivity matters. It is a choice. We might struggle to access that choice sometimes, but it's still something that we can be helped with. It can be learnt, and it also can be shared. So in my role as an Admiral nurse, one of my responsibilities, I think, is to try and find those nuggets of hope, those nuggets of positivity, and focus on the things that people still can do rather than things that they can't. So my last slide, and then I'm going to move on, is hope or positivity a useful construct? Well, yes, absolutely it is. Even though dementia presents challenges for people, perhaps sometimes increasing dependence, it may be frustration, it may be a sense of loss, things that people used to be able to do and can't now. As the progresses, sometimes there's reduced awareness, as we know, anxiety, depression. But the alternative may be hopelessness. And is that helpful? My argument would be no. So my messages would be find out what gives hope for all of us, the people around us, our peers, the people that you link with, your friends, your family. Find the strategies that support hope and positivity and reduce any sense of hopelessness. Discover what works, because it may change as well, and share it. And then together we can move towards something that we hope will give people a sense of positivity and hope. So that's just our Admiral Nurse Dementia helpline details, and I'm going to stop sharing. And over to you, Chris. I hope I haven't gone too quick.
Sorry, you caught me unawares. I thought you finished really quickly then. We might come back to you if we've got a bit more time, Rachel.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much. Good words of wisdom there. And what I find is that it's always difficult to remember the things that you can do. And it's always easy to remember the things that you can no longer do. So if I'm having not such a good day, I will try to remember the things I can still do and try not to focus on the things I can no longer do.
Mm.
And one of the things I miss most actually is multitasking. And in my previous job, I had to be good at multitasking, but I can't do that now. So ask me to do one thing and I'll do it, but ask me to do three things and I probably won't do any of them. So try and focus on the things that we can still do, not the things that we can no longer do.
Yeah.
So thank
Chris,
you.
I was just going to add, I took it out because I thought I didn't have time, but I was going to mention a strategy. People have their own strategies, don't they, to find ways of kind of keeping going. But there's a therapy which is being used more. I use it a bit in my practice, called acceptance and commitment therapy. And I find it quite useful because it talks about how negative things, as you said, the things that we can't do, they kind of hook us. It's our brains are hardwired somehow to kind of focus on the negatives. And what acceptance and commitment therapy does, it helps you to kind of get a sense of, let's focus on the things that I still can do. What do I need to do to access those again? And then developing plans to make sure that they happen, because the thought is the first kind of step in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting there and then putting into a plan and then actually doing it and trying to commit to that. And sometimes we all need help. We need encouragement, don't we? To like, oh, you said that you wanted to go out today and you haven't been. Is there any way we can change that? Is there anything that we can do? So I think again, there's a lovely comment there, moving close to our values, find out the things that are important to you, because we're all different, aren't we?
Yeah.
The things that matter. So what acceptance and commitment therapy does, and if people are interested, I can share some information, but it's a really useful, simple way to say, let's move away from the negative things that our brain kind of hooks us into and move towards the positives and try and keep doing those as much as we can. So yeah.
Yeah, if you could send something through on that, we could sort of make sure we pass it on to the membership and the wider
No
audience. Our next speaker, who is not here, is Peter Middleton. Pete lives with dementia. Pete is also on the steering group of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group. And let's hear what Pete has to say. And so if you could play Pete's video, please, Helen or Claire, whoever's in charge of the videos, that would be great. Welcome, Pete.
Hi, I'm Pete Middleton, and yes, I've got dementia. Surprise. But don't worry, I'm not here to give you a science lecture or get all gloomy on you. I just want to have a chat, a proper natter, about what life's really like after the big D diagnosis and why it's not all doom and gloom. I still laugh a lot, sometimes at myself, okay, mostly at myself. And you know, when the doctor told me that I had dementia, I had two thoughts. First, well, that explains why I keep putting my keys in the fridge. And second, right, what now? It's a weird mix of emotions. Shock, fear, sadness. And then the surreal bit, where you go, hang on, am I still me? And the answer I soon discovered was, yes, I'm still me. A little more forgetful, maybe. Sometimes a bit muddled, but still me. Still a fan of terrible puns and pork scratchings. Look, I won't lie and say that it's all sunshine and rainbows. I've had my moments. Days when I couldn't find the right word and felt like throwing the kettle out the window. Grief is a part of it. You grieve the future you thought you'd have. And that's okay. Let yourself feel it. Cry if you need to. Shout a bit. Punch something. A pillow. Preferably not your next door neighbour Dave, even if he is annoying. But here's the thing. After the tears, life carries on. And you are the one who gets to choose how you show up for it. Now let's get to the good stuff. Believe it or not, yes, there are positives to be found after a dementia diagnosis. I know, sounds a bit daft, but it's true. For starters, life slowed down. Not in the waiting for the kettle to boil kind of way, but in the mindful, take a breath, notice the world sort of way. I stopped rushing around. I stopped multitasking, which, let's be honest, I was never very good at anyway, and I started noticing the things I used to ignore. Like how good a biscuit tastes when you're not eating it while checking your phone and answering emails at the same time. Or how lovely birdsong is in the morning. Although I still got no idea which bird is which, I just think, oh, that's lovely, and I move on. And the connections with people. Deeper. More real. I started having proper conversations. Asking for help opened up space for honesty and closeness. People rallied round. Not out of pity, but out of love. And when I allowed myself to be a bit vulnerable, something magical happened. People leaned in. Even my sense of humour's had a boost. I mean, if you can't laugh at accidentally putting cat food in the washing machine, what can you laugh at? Don't worry, the cat's fine. Laundry, not so much. And I've become present, properly present. Not always in the sense of memory. Sometimes that's still a bit of a jumble, but in the way I experience moments. A hug, a shared joke, the feeling of sunshine on my face. I may forget the details later, but while I'm in it, I'm all there, and that matters. All right, time for some real talk. Want a few of my top tips for living well with dementia? Here goes. Number 1, keep a sense of humour. Laughter really is the best medicine. That and sticky notes. Sticky notes are lifesavers. And number 2, ask for help. It's not weakness, it's being smart. You wouldn't try and change a tyre with a spoon, right? 3, find your tribe. Whether it's friends, family, or a local support group, find people who get it, who love you for you. 4, celebrate the wins. Did you get dressed without putting your jumper on backwards? Victory dance. Remember your neighbour's name? Call the local newspaper. And lastly, be kind to yourself. This one's big. Some days you'll feel like a superhero. Other days not so much. That's okay. Both versions of you are worthy of love and compassion. And don't forget it. You know, dementia has turned out to be one of the strangest, most unexpected teachers in my life. It's taught me how to slow dance with time, how to let go of needing to be perfect or even efficient and just be. Some days I'm a bit foggy and confused, on other days I'm sharp as a razor blade. Just don't ask me where I left the razor. And here's the real treasure. I've learned to appreciate people in a whole new way. I noticed the kindness in their eyes, the patience in their voices, the way someone gently finishes my sentences without making me feel small. That's love, that is. Quiet, everyday love. I've learned that I don't have to be my old self to be myself. I'm not less than, I'm just different now. And that's okay. There's still joy in this version of me. There's still mischief, laughter, sassiness and stubbornness. Ask my family. I've definitely still got plenty of stubbornness. I've learned to forgive myself quicker. So I lost track of the day. So what? So I ask a question, say 3 times the same question. Okay, sky didn't fall. The world didn't end. And most people are far more understanding than we give them credit for. And I've learned to speak up about what I need, about how I'm feeling, about when I need a nap, or when I just need someone to sit with me. No words are necessary. I've become fluent in honesty. It's quite freeing, actually. So yes, dementia has changed my life, but it hasn't ended it. In many ways, it's deepened it. And if I could give you just one thing, whether you've just been diagnosed or you're supporting someone who has, it will be this. Don't wait to live. Live now. Right here. In the mess. In the magic. In the middle of it all. There's still so much to smile about. So much to love. So much of you that's still very much there. And you, my friend, are doing brilliantly. Even if you forget where you left your brilliantness sometimes. So if you've just been diagnosed, or someone you love has, know this. It's not the end. It's a different chapter. One with plot twists, sure, but also joy, humour, and a lot of love. Thanks for listening. Stay curious. Stay kind. And if you see me wandering around with odd shoes on, just point me in the right direction, yeah? Take care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye.
Thank you, Peter. Inspirational as always. And I like the fact that Peter always adds a sense of humour to things that he says. So take note of what Peter said. And this video of the webinar will be available on YouTube after the recording is finished. And now we move on to our next speaker, who is actually here. That's my friend and colleague, Steve Kennedy. And Steve is going to tell us how he lives positively, even though he's had a dementia diagnosis. So thank you, Steve, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Kennedy. I live in County Fermanagh, Northern Ireland. I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to the story of my life with dementia. I was diagnosed in 2016 with frontotemporal dementia and Alzheimer's. It came as a total shock out of the blue, to be honest with you, but it was diagnosed and that was it. My life had always been as an international truck driver. I had worked all over Europe, Scandinavia, North Africa, Middle East, always long distance work. I was away 7 to 8 weeks at a time. And all of a sudden, my life came to a stop. I lost my license the day I was diagnosed. So I was now unemployed. No way I could get another job as I had no license. And I received no help at all from anywhere. I went into a very, very dark, deep depression. It went so bad, I planned to hang myself. I stood on a table in the shed with a rope around my neck. That's how deep I went. I couldn't step off that table for fear of what it would do to my wife. All I could see was her face. From that day forward, I have moved forward with my life. I have started to see things differently. I have started to act differently with people. Yes, I have dementia, but that doesn't mean I am different. I'm still me. I am still the person that people knew. Yes, I may mix up things. Yes, I may forget names. I may forget faces. But is that the end of the world? That is not a harm to anybody. I was very, very lucky in that I had been diagnosed for 12 months and I was approached to join Dementia NI, Dementia Northern Ireland. So I went to these groups and I really enjoyed my time there. Dementia was never mentioned at these groups, not deliberately, but just everybody at these groups knew that we each had a diagnosis. We were all there in the same boat. We talked, we chatted, we supported one another. We didn't need to do anything any different, just be ourselves. And if we wanted to go out for a coffee or we wanted to meet up, we would do that. Why not? I had got used to being away all my life on my own. Now I was living to learn a new life. I was living to learn how to live with my wife at home. This may sound strange, but I had never lived with my wife. I have been married 36 years now, maybe 37. Don't quote me on that. I have a wonderful wife who has supported me throughout my journey, throughout my life. I have learned to live with her. I was staying at home now. I had no choice. But I now had an interest in farming. So I started doing a wee bit of farming. I also have bred dogs. I've bred champion dogs. I love my life at the moment. I have turned everything around. I have really become a dementia activist. Now, that is not frightening. That is challenging all the stereotypes. People hear the word dementia and they are very, very frightened. And there is no need to be frightened whatsoever. The word dementia is not a frightening word. Yes, it's classed as a terminal illness. But haven't we all got that terminal illness from the day we were born? We're all going to die someday. And there's no point in trying to look away from that. I challenge life every day. I enjoy my life. I work with so many different dementia organizations that every single day I am busy. I am kept going. I have made new friends, friends that I know will be my friends there for life. A lot of my old friends did shy away, to be honest with you, and that's okay. That's their decision. Dementia is not a disease that you can catch from people. It is something we have in our brain. It is not contractable. You have to see life in a new light. You have to work together with people. Listen to what people are saying to you and construct what you're saying back. Sometimes you will have deeper days where you're not quite with things. These days, thank heavens, are becoming rarer and rarer for me. I am enjoying my life now. I have my dogs, I have the cattle, I have peaceful life at home. if I want true peace, I jump on the quad and I go away up the mountain on my own. And I just sit there and look around me at the glory of what is around me. And I take in things. I look at the mountains, I look at the fields, I feel the wind on my face. I have got so much to live for. I am enjoying my life. Dementia has given me a far, far better quality of life than I ever had before. And that may sound strange to people, but believe me, do not be afraid to live with this condition, because that's all it is a condition. When you accept dementia, which is very, very hard to do, I will admit, when you accept dementia, life can be good. Please do not be afraid of dementia. Take things in, enjoy your life, enjoy the people around you, enjoy what you can do every day. And it's what you can do, not what people tell you can do. And always remember that. Please remember, you are still you at the end of the day. And you are still a very positive word, a very positive person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Wonderful words of wisdom and wonderful words of encouragement and support. And you mentioned about being a dementia champion and an activist. I think all of us on the Three Nations Steering Group feel that we're, dementia champions and activists, because we want to make things better for other people living with dementia. And one other thought that came to me when you were speaking is that there may be a person living with dementia who doesn't remember where they went yesterday, who they were with, or what they did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So just bear that in mind and think about that. And we're going to go on to our last speaker now, which is Keith Oliver. And until very recently, Keith was on the steering group of the Three Nations. He has now resigned from the steering group because for health reasons and supporting his wife. We miss him dearly, but he agreed that he would like to speak to you all today. And then after Keith has spoken about positivity, Keith has also, I believe it's a poem he's written in tribute to Nigel. So we'll hear Keith speak first, then we'll come back and see how the timing is and whether we've got a chance for any questions and answers. And then we'll go on to the tribute part. So could we have Keith's first video, please?
Hello everyone, my name is Keith Oliver. I live in Canterbury and I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in December 2010. I was a founder member of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group and was on the steering group right from its onset right through until January of this year, when challenges with my health caused me to have to retire from the steering group, but I still am very much a member of the working group generally. And I am honoured and privileged to be here today. I'm sorry I can't join you live, but I'm delighted to be able to do this recording for you. Nigel and I would often speak about the positivity in dementia, both from the point of view of seeing it constructively, but also the consequences of it not being in place. And the words that he considered on the subject were in my mind when I put together my few words, which I'm going to share this morning as well. Having lived with a diagnosis of dementia now since December 2010, and before that, having a mother who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's some years previously, I do have some insight into what living with dementia is like. No one would say it is easy to live with dementia. And whilst it might appear delusional or misguided to state that it is possible to live well so as to maintain a sense of positivity, I suggest that this is in fact possible, given certain conditions. Firstly, whilst I do know some people with dementia who are very comfortable living on their own and seem to thrive in their own company, some of these people actually find the company of others challenging. However, we are generally social beings, and part of that is what we can give to others and what others can bring to us by way of support, tolerance, kindness, friendship, and yes, indeed, love. For people like me, these are prerequisites for positivity in dementia. Knowing when we need help and who we can turn to is so reassuring. Few find true positivity in a medicine bottle. Secondly, as one grows older, I know other health conditions often bring challenges that sit negatively alongside dementia and make positive thinking more difficult. To counter this, it is important to have access to person-centred healthcare from both primary and secondary care sector. Having some control over these comorbidities, I do so hate that expression that health professionals use, does give a sense of positivity, of either getting better or at least being more in control, whether it is pain, hearing, or sight loss, or mobility issues. Next, maintaining and learning new skills and interests is good for body, mind, and soul, and enjoying continuing to learn is a real boost to positivity within a person with dementia. So often I have seen the well-being of individuals enhanced by them attending some creative workshop or activity and embarking on something that maybe previously they would not have considered, such as various forms of visual art, singing, playing an instrument, movement and dance, photography, and filmmaking. Finally, having access to care and people who care professionally as well as personally is important. And I often tell health and social care professionals that whilst I think they care, I need to see and experience this to know it genuinely exists. This makes me feel positive. Everybody with dementia is unique and different. And in all actuality, although there may be some overlaps with the experience of others, the way dementia affects each person will be different. There are many different types of dementia, all of which affect people differently. People often feel let down and thrown on the scrap heap after a diagnosis, and this is compounded by a fear generated by the public, the media, and sadly, often those we lean upon to seek positivity from. In order to remain positive and to approach living with dementia positively requires each person to chart their own course in the journey and to do so with support that is person-centered and meaningful to them. If the approach from others is one size fits all, then the person will not live as positively as they could. Let's please take the right approach. We know it makes sense. And whether we are a person with dementia, a family caregiver, a health and social care professional, or a member of the community generally, together we can all make life more positive for people with dementia. And in so doing, the positivity will rub off on you too. Thank you.
I think what we're going to do now, we've still got 19 minutes left. There's some links in the chat box that people have been putting in. And also there's a link to a tribute that Alzheimer's Europe has given to Nigel. And what I'm going to do now, normally I would, at the end, I would say something, but I'm going to say that now, and then I'm going to go on to reading some tributes to Nigel. And then we'll end by looking at the slideshow and hearing the song. And then as people are leaving, we could just have that moment silence. And I would ask that the panelists please stay on. So thank you, all of you, for participating and presenting this morning on this webinar. If any of you out there would like to be considered for a webinar or a theme for a webinar, please get in touch with us. And be kind and smile, because these things cost nothing, but mean an awful lot. So although we're not leaving you yet, I would like to say when it's time, goodbye, stay safe and stay well from all of us. And so we've got a few minutes. If we've got, are there any questions and answers, Amy, that spring up? All I've seen is praise, really, and thanking the speakers. So unless, Rachel, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, those are such powerful words, aren't they, from all of the participants. So thank you to everybody. I think, Chris, you put in something about my life, my goals, and I, again, because in my desire to not go over time, I think I went too short, but the Living with Dementia Toolkit is a really useful resource. Some of you are probably familiar with it, but there's some really good practical examples of how people can find hope. I know, Chris, you contributed to that, but the My Life, My Goals is a really nice downloadable thing that you can do just to help you think about how can I plan, how can I make sure that happens. So, but no, thank you.
Yeah, and check out the Alzheimer's Society website. Has got lots of information, and so does Dementia UK, who Rachel is employed by, and so does Lewy Body Society if you have Lewy body dementia. So just remember to check out some of these websites, and the word dementia has got a me in the middle, and don't forget the me bit. So I am now going to go on, and I'm going to, as best as I can, I'm going to read some of these tributes. And when I sat down with pen and paper in hand, I didn't know where to start and where to finish with paying tributes to Nigel, because he was such a unique, special man to many of us. I've got the wrong bit of paper. We've had to find the right bit of paper, isn't it? I am going to be reading this, so apologise for that. But it's already been put in the chat box that there's a nice tribute from Alzheimer's Europe to Nigel. There's also a tribute from the Alzheimer's Society, who said that we're profoundly saddened by the news of the passing of Nigel Uller, esteemed chair of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group. Nigel's extensive experience working with groups at regional, national and international levels was invaluable. As the chair of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group, Nigel was a staunch activist for everyone affected by dementia and had a truly positive impact. Nigel's passing represents a significant loss to our community. And somebody else has said this: Nigel was more than a leader. He was a force of nature. As chair of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group and a member of the European Working Group of People with Dementia, Nigel dedicated his time, his energy, and his passion to ensuring that those living with dementia had a voice. He was a champion for dignity, inclusion, and change. Nigel, we will miss your wisdom, your laughter, and your courage. We promise to carry forward your work and stay true to your vision. Rest easy, my friend. Your voice will never be silenced, and your legacy will never be forgotten. And here's something else that somebody has said. Nigel was our dear friend, advocate, and guiding light. While the weight of his absence is profound, his legacy and the impact he made on so many lives will never fade. Nigel was more than a leader. He was a force of nature. As chair of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group, he dedicated his time, his energy, and his passion to ensuring that those living with dementia had a voice. Not just any voice, but a strong, clear, and a voice not to be ignored. He was a champion for dignity, inclusion, and change, and his tireless advocacy leaves a lasting imprint on the dementia community and beyond. But Nigel was not defined by a title or a position. He was defined by his kindness, his warmth, and his unwavering belief in people. He knew how to listen, how to encourage, and how to inspire. He fought not just for himself, but for everyone who deserved to be heard. His determination turned obstacles into opportunities, and his ability to see the person beyond the diagnosis brought hope to countless lives. Nigel had a good sense of humour. He was a very proud Welshman and a good and faithful friend to everyone. He enjoyed a glass of his favourite tipple, which was whiskey. And somebody else says, beyond his advocacy, Nigel was a proud Welshman, a dear friend, one of those rare souls who made the world a little brighter simply by being in it. He had an infectious sense of humour, a deep well of compassion, and an authenticity that drew people to him. Whether he was offering words of support, challenging the status quo, or simply sharing a quiet moment of understanding, he made each interaction meaningful. His brightly coloured shirts that he always wore will not be forgotten. Nigel, we will miss your wisdom, your laughter, and your courage, but we promise to carry forward your work, your vision, and your unshakable belief that people with dementia should live, not just exist, with dignity, respect, and purpose. Rest easy, dear friend. Your voice will never be silenced, and your legacy will never be forgotten. And there's this message from somebody from Wales. Nigel, a good friend, we miss him. They often say it's the impression you have made on people's hearts and minds that remains as your legacy. Wales would be a very different place for many of us had Nigel not shown dedication with determination and compassion to ensure that people came first before process. His support for research, policy, and dementia care of epic proportions, too much to share here, has changed the way that we see, think, work, and live. A recent piece of work held in high esteem by Nigel, a session, Llais Dementia, held with CEOs of every health board in Wales. Facilitating alongside such a great man was a privilege. His brilliance, selfless determination to protect and support others should and will be recognised. Hwyl fawr, friend, which means goodbye, friend. We have lost a true friend to each and every single one of us. A gentleman who had supportive and at times assertive tones. He always listened and guided whilst taking in the opinions of so many. What a man. He loved his beloved country of Wales and was a man super proud of his long military service in the Falklands, Kosovo, and Northern Ireland. Whilst he was a big man, he needed such a frame to contain the knowledge, love, compassion, and empathy that he had for others. The nighttime sky is so much brighter now, the extra star that shines so brightly. You have left behind massive boots to fill, and between us all, we vow to continue your long list of great accomplishments and projects. Sleep well now, at peace, my special friend. Your legacy is our future. Nos Dari, friend. Good night, our friend. So now we just hear Keith's tribute, and then we'll go on to the song.
I want to talk about my very dear friend, Nigel, who I've known for a long time as a close friend and as an ally. And so I'm going to read to you a few words that I wrote about Nigel to mark his life and also his very sad passing. We are all special and different individuals, whether we have dementia or not. But when someone as rare as Nigel passes through our lives, they have the unique, positive impact of changing our thinking, actions, deeds, and indeed our lives for the better. Whilst both Rosemary and I held Nigel as a dear and loyal friend and are immensely saddened by his passing, we feel honoured to have been part of his life. A life I'm so proud to have recorded elements of his thoughts on with Reinhard and my book, Talking with Dementia Reconsidered. No one was better placed than Nigel to do just this. I also took pen to paper for our unique friend when writing what I'd call a proem, a blend of prose and poem, and I'm going to share it with you now. It's called My Friend Nigel. Nigel was a big man in every way with a really big heart, but sadly, even the biggest hearts cannot beat strongly forever. A colourful character with flamboyant shirts, always calm and reassuring when wearing them. A right time and place for him to be sensitive and surprised when stating the only poem he'd ever written was about the pearly gates he's now passed through. Sitting alongside other friends and I in the Kitwood book in the chapter entitled Task of Cultural Transformation, Nigel recognised and respected the need for this to maintain the rights of people with dementia and advocated tirelessly for this. Wit and wisdom really come in the same package, but they did with Nigel. Hwyl for fy ffrind. Goodbye, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Keith. I think they were all wonderful words. And we'll now watch the slideshow, please.